Whenever we program a part, we aim to make it as safe as possible by verifying toolpaths or including avoidance in order to reduce the chance of collisions. These actions are often necessary, but it adds to the overall programming time, so any speed improvements made to these processes can benefit all Autodesk Powermill users. Now, as development effort moves towards increasing performance, calculation times are now quicker in Powermill across a range of collision detection and avoidance functions, thanks to improvements in the checking algorithms. In this example, we have an aerospace part whose block of material is 348mm in X by 130mm in Y by 106mm in Z, and a series of toolpaths that will be used to analyse the improvements in collision checking and avoidance calculation speed. Initially, we will be making a side-by-side comparison between Powermill 2021 and Powermill 2020.0. In this instance, both versions have been run independently on the same Lenovo ThinkPad P71 workstation laptop, which has a quad-core Intel Xeon E3 processor, 64GB of RAM, and an NVIDIA Quadro P4000 graphics card. For the first comparison, we will be looking at verifying a calculated toolpath. Whilst we could include the collision checking during calculation, it can be the case that we forget to do so. Luckily, with Powermill, we have the luxury of being able to perform a collision check independently without having to recalculate the whole toolpath. So we will right-click on the toolpath labelled Roughing No Collision Checking and select the option to verify the toolpath. Making sure we have collisions set from the drop-down check menu, we will check the options to split the toolpath and ask Powermill to calculate the collision depth and create a new adjusted tool. Once set, we will simultaneously hit Apply. Note Powermill 2020 is on the left and Powermill 2021 is on the right. Even though this is only a small part, there is still significant difference in the calculation times. Powermill 2020 took 17 seconds to calculate, whereas Powermill 2021 took 10 seconds to perform the same process, a saving of 41%. For the second comparison, we will look at automatic collision avoidance. We now have 5 remaining uncalculated toolpaths. We will compare the calculation times of 4 surface finishing toolpaths and 1 pattern machining toolpath, each of which has automatic collision avoidance switched on. To calculate them all, we will right-click on the toolpath's top level and select the option to batch process. Again, even in this tutorial example, we see an improvement in the calculation times, with Powermill 2020 taking 31 seconds to calculate and Powermill 2021 taking just 25 seconds to calculate. The result is a 19% saving in overall calculation time. Summarising the results in this test, we can see an overall improvement of 13 seconds, saving 27% overall, reiterating that the savings could be significant on more complex parts. And the improvements don't stop at calculation times. Going back to just Powermill 2021, we're going to look at the pattern machining toolpath we calculated last. The reason we created this toolpath is we wanted to compare the toolpath points. Firstly, via the right-click menu, we will just quickly verify the Powermill 2021 toolpath for collisions and gouges so that we have the blue check mark next to the toolpath. We have the previous result from Powermill 2020, so we will activate this toolpath and, making sure the toolpath points are displayed, we will switch on the contact track. We will do the same for the toolpath calculated in Powermill 2021. If we alternate the activation between the two toolpaths, note how, although the contact tracks remain the same, we can clearly see more points have been inserted into the Powermill 2021 toolpath. If we activate the Powermill 2020 toolpath and select the Properties option from the Toolpath tab, we can see that there are 6,086 points. If we close the dialog and now activate the Powermill 2021 toolpath and also select Properties, we can see that there are 6,747 points. The reason for this is that Powermill 2021 now adds points where needed to achieve a smoother tool motion as it moves between different tool axis orientations. The result reduces sudden machine motion and therefore improves surface finish. Collision checking and avoidance improvements in Powermill 2021 will ultimately reduce calculation times to help get you machining your parts sooner.